Here with Mike, founder of Splor. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Splor is? Well, first, what's your background before founding Splor?
Yeah, I was a high school math teacher for the past 5 years. Most recently founded a expeditionary learning high school in Grass Valley, which is a super cool model of cross-curricular project-based learning, where the biggest challenge that I had was in connecting or having a classroom that was pre-algebra through pre-calculus, all interacting with these cross-curricular projects with the rest of their school through whitewater rafting or 100-mile hikes in the Sierras or pond restorations. And so really had to use the tools of personalized learning, like Khan Academy, etc., and make them work in a really active learning environment. And before that, I built an engineering department at North Tahoe High School, because educationally I was an electrical engineer at UC Davis, and then shifted to education from there. And after leaving the classroom, left the classroom because of the potential of what I saw in learning in my work.
So big educational background, lots of experience in teaching and working one-on-one with students.
Yeah.
Any previous ventures as an entrepreneur?
I guess I've always been a little entrepreneurial. In college, I started a water ski and wakeboard school because we needed to fund our own water ski and wakeboard habit. Really, the concept of this doesn't exist, let's make it exist. Just kind of grew up with it.
Okay, and so that was the same kind of issue or situation in which you started Splor. Tell us what Splor is.
Yeah. So Splor connects people to learn from each other. And our main product is Scale, which helps retail sales companies to grow by connecting employees and sales reps to practice sales skills. In a manual pilot with a wireless retail outfit, they connected the 8 lowest performing employees and the 8 highest performing employees for weekly practice sessions, and had an 80% increase in revenue.
Wow.
And so Splor is working to take that same concept and scale it to their whole organization so they can close gaps between the experts and the novices to increase performance for everybody.
Is that done through an app, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's done through a mobile app. So during their downtime, so we're focused on wireless retail sales for a lot of reasons, but they have about 30% of their time is downtime. There's no customer in the store. And so they grab their phone, instead of cruising Facebook, they go to Splor and connect with somebody, either to teach something that they're an expert in, or to learn something that they are ready to learn.
And how was the development of this? You had the idea, obviously, from your experience teaching in the classroom.
Yeah.
How did you go from that idea to where you're at now with focusing on wireless retail sales?
It's a really exciting question. I think the entrepreneurial journey is always exciting for a lot of because you never know where it's going to go when you launch it. In the classroom, I had this immediate need, and I wasn't scared of building a solution for it, so I started getting in to learn about it. What it took for me to dive into it full time was enough people saying, I want to help. Yes, good idea. What can I do? Because otherwise I think things tend to fizzle. And so connected with a friend, George, locally, who wasn't an engineer, but had more experience to be able to start to build the app, and then connect with a software engineer in San Francisco who's like, let's build the first prototype. So I had watched it in my classroom, saw kids really come alive when they weren't required just to sit down and shut up and listen to me teach, but they got to share their expertise and have conversations that weren't just group work for group work's sake. I don't know if you rememst group work as a kid in school, but most of the time it was pretty terrible. Like, build this poster, or like watch someone else build this poster. But here, someone really needed your help. You were the only person who could help this person. So it was real authentic communication, and learning accelerated. So left the classroom saying, every single school needs this. I'm going door to door. I'm going teacher to teacher. I'm going publisher to publisher. And while there's some excitement, like this will be wonderful one day, teachers in general are still owning most of their classroom. To make a large shift takes a teacher who's got the autonomy from their school, and so a lot of times they don't. And a school, to make the shift, has to be able to tell a teacher, here's how we're going to teach from now on, and that's not right either yet. But when you go into adult learning or to a company who's got a training need, and you're telling them that here's a solution that will help people learn more, will be easier for you to roll out, and will engage your employees in their learning process, it's kind of easy.
So that was a significant pivot. You pivoted from focusing on teachers in classic K through 12 schools, and pivoted to basically corporate training, right? Did you get a certain amount of traction or not traction in the K through 12 environment, and you decided, okay, let me look for something else, or had you already seen some possible traction in the training in the retail sales?
Both were in parallel. So in the classroom, the conversation started based on the need to. I had students who were learning math at a level that their county couldn't teach them. So, a high school sophomore who did 4 years of math in her 9th grade year, and then was ready to she was beyond what Sierra College, the local college in Nevada City, could offer. So we started talking to folks in industry to connect her using Splor to teach, and they said, "Wait, we want this too." And that momentum and the ability to say, we can roll this out today, and we want to roll this out to everybody, and we have that large network. It's a network-based solution, right? It gets more powerful the more people who are on it. And the only constraint is that you need people who are working on learning the same thing. And so retail has this standardized, we need to all learn how to do this thing really well, and there are 6,500 of us in the company. So that's how that transition happened. Still playing in schools, and it will continue to have that live in the background of what we're doing probably forever, hopefully forever. But as far as how we go to market and where we're focused right now to build a company, the enterprise world, just adult learners are ready to transition more quickly. We can build the technology to actually work for them.
So let's talk about what stage you're at. You've got at least an MVP out there that's working, that's being used by some retail wireless providers. What's next? What's the next step for you guys?
Learning from it, right?
Learning, okay.
So
build, measure, learn.
Exactly. I'm saying the same Lean Startup visualization that you are right now.
Yep.
If we don't, a learning concept can be wonderful in theory, but if it's not engaging and people don't use it, first of all, they won't learn. Second of all, we won't learn. So right now, it's just put it in the hands of as many people as possible, so that we can see, first of all, how they use it.
This is validated learning if you're reading the Lean Startup stuff, right?
Exactly. But I guess that even with three bottom lines, but two bottom lines of we need this to grow, but we need it to be effective. But it needs to be used first. The effectiveness, like no one's questioning the merits of mentorship or of practice or of peer feedback. Like those are all ingrained, like nodding your head like this is part of why we come to 1 million cups and throw our ideas out there. But it needs to be engaging, and people need to come back to it. 19-year-olds in retail sales outfits who are busy, and their friends standing next to them, and they could go. Sometimes video might be easier or less social risk. There's a big sociology component. So, like, I'm going to start a conversation with someone random somewhere else in the country. Where in early learning, we're pretty excited that the concept of structured conversations tends to bring people out of their shell a little bit more. Like, I'm going to connect with someone, but we're not just going to like stare at each other and think about what we should talk about. We have a specific goal. It's not a 3-hour conversation. It's 15 minutes.
Is there a standard script or something that's provided?
It's not a script, but in education we call it scaffolding. We build the structure so that because as we blur the line between teacher and student, we've got non-professional teachers who are learning to teach well, and so we're providing like the structure. I guess I still want to use the word scaffolding, but like cards to say like introduce yourself. What do you know? What do you need to know? Let's practice some. But wanting to still keep it open-ended, especially early, because the more we structure it, the less we can learn about what is the most effective.
All right, so you're actually doing some measuring and learning from that, and based on that, what you learn, you're going to do some other kind of new build after that, on to the next step.
We'll just continue to iterate, but really focused on this product, on the wireless retail sales product, because I think when we talked last week, it was this method of learning, I think, could be anywhere and everywhere. But the sociology of a distributed workforce. Some of these stores have one employee or two employees in the store, and they have a practice need. They have to be in every store or in every town in the country because people want to come play with what's new before they go decide to buy it. They want to ask some questions. So they have to have experts everywhere, which is a really interesting need. And to serve that specifically takes that focus. So we're going to be learning. We know what works in education, and I played with what works in the classroom. But now, what works in engaging people when they're in a sleepy store at 8:30 at night when no one's walking in, to choose to take that leap and engage in learning. And what we're finding is, I think in any field, people really want to get better. Like, we are all kind of intrinsically motivated by growth if we can see it. But if it's out of sight, then it's out of mind. And so that's where I think with any consumer level app, which is how we're designing it, that's everyone's main challenge.
So you pitched, we referenced this a little bit ago, you pitched last week at 1 Million Cups Sacramento, and as part of each 1 Million Cups, we ask the presenter what the community can do for them. So what can the Sacramento startup community do to help you and Splor?
The thing that will change, that will help us learn the most is usership. And usership comes from conversations with folks in training roles for wireless retail sales companies. So looking to start as many of those conversations as possible, whether someone knows somebody who was a sales rep, a manager, a district manager, helping us to introductions to get into those conversations. Because when somebody sees it, I've watched their head in their hands, just like, we need this for this, we need this for that, we need this for this, we need it now. This is a problem we didn't know we had. We're doing role plays in our stores, but where people are practicing random things. I want to know what they're practicing. I want them to practice towards mastery. People get really excited, so we just want to have as much face time as possible.
Cool. So what are some key lessons learned so far in this venture? Anything critical takeaways that jump to the top of your head? That's me, sorry.
Oh. The need to be patient and perseverant. And I don't know if you're thinking about specifically from the business side.
Basically, what if lessons learned for other startups, for other entrepreneurs, some difficult hurdle you had to overcome that people can learn from the mistakes of others or from the experiences of others. If you had anything that comes to mind that you might be able to give words of wisdom to other founders out there.
And maybe this is the teacher in me, the math teacher specifically, but that exponential growth starts out really slow. But it continuously improves. So the ability to say, like, what concrete wins have I had? How many users do I have? Like, that's a metric that a lot of that you'll see as you work to raise funding or anything else in the startup world. But finding a great co-founder, getting the opportunity to pitch and have enough people hear about what you're doing, have the concept fleshed out. Every single piece of growth is worth celebrating. Appreciating, yeah, because it all grows on itself by definition as compound growth. And I think when people think of the word exponential growth, they think of this side of the hockey stick. But
there's a pretty long horizontal slide first.
And as I look back on the last year, I've grown, the concept has grown. This becomes more and more likely every day to make large change in how people think about learning and teaching. So look forward to seeing what it looks like in 10, 15, 20 years, but right now I just have to celebrate today.
Any words of advice for other founders who are just starting? Well, let's rephrase that a little bit. A lot of people have ideas, but they don't pursue them. What do you think is critical to go from just the idea to getting over the hurdle or the reticence to do anything about it to pursuing that passion, that dream that you've got?
Talk about it a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, where you said you talked with all your friends and whatnot, and got them excited about that. What was that process like?
I guess it was nice that I had 150 students coming through my classroom that I got to talk about with and see their early reaction. And
that's kind of market validation then, huh?
Yeah. And that I think that's the biggest... You need that first yes. So there's a TED Talk called about how to build a movement. And it's 3 minutes long. If people haven't seen it, like, it's 3 minutes to sit down. It's awesome. But they talk about it like a one lone nut. And then as soon as they have another person, the first person to come and follow can turn a nut into a movement. And so to find that first person to give you a yes, they might not be the person next to you. They might not be your spouse. They might not be your best friend. Because you might have an idea in a specific industry. Go talk to people in that industry. For the most part, people aren't going to steal your idea. What you just said is a lot of people have ideas and they don't follow through with them. Mm-hmm. Because that's so true, the person you tell probably isn't going to follow through on your idea either. But they might hear your enthusiasm and want to, and know somebody who might want to talk about who can help in this way or that way.
So going out and talking to people made all kinds of connections and helped validate it in your own mind at least, and gave you more enthusiasm to
talk about it on a larger stage, to talk about it here with you. Like this, a year ago, if you're like, what are you doing with your kids in your class? Like, I guess I'd still probably like to talk about it, but it's especially when things are against it. When things are early and you've fleshed them out for yourself, you know how they will live in the world. How to meet people where they are and explain and take them to what you came to realize is the hardest part about entrepreneurship for me and that's teaching. It's good teaching. But that's what it takes to bring an idea to the world, I think.
Cool. So I always like to ask, since this is all about Sacramento startup community, what any thoughts on the startup community here in Sacramento? Pros, cons, what do we got going that's going well for us? What do we need here?
I feel really lucky to be a member of it, even a new member of it. It's been, first of all, really welcoming. 1 million cups has been really big for me because something during the day. I've got a 2-year-old at home, and so when I do work to work hard during the day, and when the day is done, I work to be home. Its proximity to the Bay is a huge value add. I can go, my co-founder is in San Francisco, and we work together. And I love going down there to not learn the lessons of Silicon Valley and to build the startup is to cover your eyes and run. So to be down there, grab that energy, grab that wealth of knowledge, come here, be able to focus, be able to talk with folks who might have even worked down there and come up here, and or wherever they are. There's a lot of experience to be shared here, and I think, and I'm new to it, so it seems like it's just beginning. But maybe it's been here forever, and I just haven't seen it because I've been sitting in my high school math class. But I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Any other last thoughts you'd like to share?
No, not at this time. I guess I hope to. If people have questions about it, reach out. I'm at mike@splor.co. Again, the more we talk about it, the more it grows. So if people know folks who have any interest in any of what we're talking about, reach out and let's help it grow.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.